What if I told you that inflation, the thing making your groceries more expensive every week, could actually make you richer? I know that sounds crazy, but stick with me for the next 10 minutes, and I'll show you exactly how to flip the script on inflation. Most people hear the word inflation and immediately think about all the bad stuff. Your morning coffee went from $3 to $5. Gas prices make you cringe every time you fill up. Your paycheck feels like it's shrinking even though the number stays the same. And you're not wrong to feel frustrated. Inflation really is making life more expensive for everyone. But here's the thing that most people don't realize. While inflation is stealing money from your wallet, it's actually handing money to people who know how to play the game. Rich people aren't just sitting there complaining about rising prices. They're using inflation as a tool to get even richer. So why can't you do the same thing? Let's start with the basics. Inflation is just a fancy word for stuff costs more over time. Every year, the things you buy, food, clothes, rent, they all get a little more expensive. On average, prices go up about 3% every year, which means what costs you $100 today will cost you $103 next year. Now here's the key thing you need to understand. Inflation is like a slow-motion thief, but it only steals from people who keep their money in certain places. If you just leave your money sitting in a regular savings account earning almost nothing, inflation is going to eat it alive. But if you put your money to work in the right ways, inflation actually becomes your helper instead of your enemy. Think of it like this. Inflation hurts savers but helps smart investors. Today I'm going to show you 4 simple ways to turn inflation from your enemy into your best friend. Strategy 1. Investing in stocks. The first way to beat inflation is by putting your money into stocks. I know, the stock market sounds scary, but hear me out with a simple story. Imagine you're at a carnival, and there are 2 games you can play. In the first game, you put your dollar in a jar and hope it's still worth $1 next year. But there's a sneaky carnival worker who comes by every night and takes a few cents out of every jar. That's what keeping money in a savings account is like during inflation. In the second game, you buy a ticket to ride a roller coaster. Sometimes the ride goes up, sometimes it goes down. But over the long run, the carnival keeps getting more popular, so your ticket becomes worth more and more each year. That's what investing in stocks is like. When you buy stock in a company, you own a tiny piece of that business. And here's the beautiful thing about businesses during inflation. They can raise their prices right along with everything else. If it costs more to make a hamburger, McDonald's just charges more for the hamburger. If materials get more expensive, Apple just makes their phones cost more. Your stock owns a piece of that company, so when they make more money from higher prices, you make more money too. Over the long term, the stock market has grown about 10% per year on average. That's way more than the 3% inflation rate, which means you're not just keeping up with rising prices, you're getting ahead of them. Your tiny action for today: open a simple investment app and put just $20 into a broad market fund. That's it. You don't need thousands of dollars or a finance degree. Just start somewhere. Strategy 2. Owning real assets. Second way to make inflation work for you is by owning things that become more valuable as prices go up. These are called real assets, and the most common one is real estate. Here's a story to make this crystal clear. Let's say you have a friend named Sam who bought a house 5 years ago for $200,000. Back then, everyone thought Sam was crazy for taking on such a big loan. But now, that same house is worth $280,000. Sam didn't do anything special. He just owned something real while inflation made everything more expensive. Here's the really cool part. Sam borrowed most of that money from the bank at a fixed interest rate. So while the house got more valuable, his monthly payment stayed exactly the same. Inflation made the house worth more, but it also made Sam's debt easier to pay off because his dollars are worth less now than when he first borrowed them. You don't have to buy a whole house to use this strategy. You can buy shares in real estate investment trusts, which are like owning tiny pieces of lots of different properties. You can invest in commodities like gold or oil, which tend to go up in price during inflation. You can even buy collectibles or art, though that's getting pretty fancy. Key idea is simple. Own things that can't be printed or created out of thin air. When there's more money chasing the same amount of stuff, the stuff becomes more valuable. Your tiny action for today: look into a real estate investment trust or a commodity fund. Many investment apps let you buy these with just a few dollars. Strategy 3. Earning passive income. The third strategy is building passive income streams that grow along with inflation. Passive income is money that keeps flowing into your bank account, even while you're sleeping. Let me tell you about my friend Lisa. A few years ago, Lisa started buying dividend-paying stocks. These are companies that share their profits with stockholders every few months. At first, she was only getting about $50 every quarter. But here's what happened over time. As inflation pushed up the cost of everything, these companies made more money, and they passed more of that money along to Lisa. Her quarterly dividend checks went from $50 to $60 to $75, and they kept growing. Meanwhile, her grocery bill was going up too, but her passive income was growing even faster. The beautiful thing about good dividend stocks is they tend to raise their payouts every year. It's like getting an automatic raise that keeps up with or beats inflation. Some companies have been raising their dividends every single year for decades. But stocks aren't the only way to build passive income. You can create online courses, write ebooks, build websites that earn advertising money, or even rent out a spare room. The key is building income streams that can scale up as everything gets more expensive. Your tiny action for today. Research 3 dividend-paying companies you recognize and understand. Look for ones that have been raising their dividends consistently for years. Strategy 4. Using good debt wisely. The fourth strategy sounds backwards at first. Borrowing money can actually help you during inflation. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do this. Here's how it works. Let's say you borrow $10,000 at a 4% fixed interest rate to invest in something that grows at 8% per year. You're making money on the difference. But during inflation, something even better happens. Imagine inflation is running at 6% per year. That means the $10,000 you borrowed is becoming easier and easier to pay back because your future dollars are worth less than today's dollars. Meanwhile, whatever you invested that money in is probably growing at an even faster rate because of inflation. This is exactly what smart real estate investors do. They borrow money at fixed rates to buy properties, then inflation makes the properties more valuable while making the loans cheaper to repay. But be careful. This only works with fixed-rate debt that you use to buy assets that grow in value. Credit card debt at variable interest rates will destroy you during inflation. That's bad debt. Good debt has a fixed rate and helps you buy something that makes you money. Your tiny action for today. If you have high-interest credit card debt, make a plan to pay it off as fast as possible. But also, start learning about fixed-rate loans for investment purposes. And here's what I want you to remember from today's video. Inflation isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you can prepare for and even profit from. The difference between people who get hurt by inflation and people who benefit from it isn't how much money they start with. It's how they think about money. Poor financial thinking says, I need to save more money in my savings account. Smart financial thinking says, I need to put my money to work in assets that grow faster than inflation. You don't need to be rich to start playing this game. You don't need a finance degree or thousands of dollars. You just need to understand that your money should be working as hard as you are. Even small moves now can protect your future. Putting $50 a month into stocks instead of a savings account might not seem like much today, but in 20 years, it could be the difference between struggling with inflation and laughing at it. Remember this. Inflation punishes the unprepared, but rewards the strategic. And now you know how to be strategic. Look, I get it. All of this might feel overwhelming at first, but you don't have to fear inflation. You just have to understand it. And now you do. The best time to start preparing for inflation was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, today, before you go to bed tonight. Here's what I want you to do. Pick just one of these 4 strategies and take one small action this week. Open an investment account. Research a dividend stock. Look into a real estate investment trust. Make a plan to pay off bad debt. Just pick one thing and do it. Your future self will thank you when everyone else is complaining about rising prices, and you're sitting there watching your money grow faster than inflation can eat it. Drop a comment below and tell me which strategy you're going to try first. I read every single comment, and I love hearing about your progress. And hey, if this video helped you see inflation in a new way, share it with someone who's always complaining about how expensive everything is getting. They'll thank you for it. Until next time, keep sticking to your financial goals. And remember, inflation doesn't have to be your enemy. It can be your friend if you play it right.